We're gonna get welcome, guys. I think we're recording. Looks like now we are. Glad you guys can make it. So this is a little bit of a freezer teaser, kind of little mini freezer workshop. I know Stacie and I have done a bunch of Stacie Woodworth, another leader that I work a lot with. We have done freezer workshops in the past, though we haven't done recently. At least I haven't. And I'm excited because it's something different. It's something that, maybe you'll find different value from, or something, another nugget to take home, another nugget to use at home. And maybe you're cooking with me, and that'll be great too. So welcome. My name is Sherry Coswin. I'm a leader with Epicure from Canada. And I'm super excited to do this today. I'm also super excited. This is the bonus of not only my job, but this right now is I'm going to have 3 meals in my freezer that are, hey, Tony, glad to see you join. I'm super excited to have 3 meals in my freezer that are go-to meals because I'm also a professional figure skating coach. So I cook through dinner hour. I coach through dinner hour more often than not. So it's usually one of my family, and I have 3 teenagers. Well, one's about to turn 20, but I'm still calling him a teenager while I can. It's usually my kids and my husband that are in charge of weeknight suppers. So I try to either have something prepared in the crock pot, or I have something that's easy for them to grab and go, or it's something that's easy for me to prep when I get home and, cook a later supper. So we have 3 things that we're making today. The first is a taco soup, and I love this recipe because it's versatile in terms of your protein. You can make it vegan, you can make it with chicken, you could make it with ground pork, ground beef, black beans, your choice, and they all freeze really well. You can also, if you had leftover taco meat, you could just throw that right in this soup recipe, put the ingredients together and throw it in the freezer, and then you've got your taco soup without saving leftovers that you end up throwing out your fridge sometimes. Hopefully not that case. I do, speaking of leftovers in the fridge, I very rarely actually throw my leftovers in the fridge unless I know I'm eating them for the lunch next day. So they often become freezer meals by being put in the freezer. So we are also, taco soup is the first one. We are also going a little off label, which is kind of a little nod to our Recipe Rebel workshop yesterday with our Stir Crazy. We are doing General Tao pork tenderloin. So General Tao is one of those versatile spices that you wouldn't know is versatile. And so this is just a great seasoning. You can put it on anything. I love, mixing and matching proteins with this flavor. It can be chicken, could be pork, could be just about anything. You're good to go. So the other thing we're doing is a naked protein, and no, this is not X-rated. You're all good. What a naked protein means is that you're just prepping the protein for the freezer. So whether that's chicken, pork, beef, you're either portioning it or you're prepping it for slicing or dicing, those kinds of things. So just 3 little ones. Normally when I do a big workshop, it's 10 meals. Though I feel like I want to do a big one that's just the 3-week dinners and do a 15 month of meals. That would be kind of cool. Maybe we'll bite that off soon, but not yet. I see one more person's joining. I'm glad you guys are able to join. We're going to get started.
I'm just going to pop in too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, anybody, that's great.
I was just going to share. I know I had a couple of people reach out to me like, oh, I don't have that spice. And so this is a good time.
Yeah, you can use just about anything.
What?
You can use anything.
Yeah. So even just like, see, look at me. I'm learning. No, but like the taco soup is really great. Like you're going to see, this is a pantry staple for us. But I know so many of my customers have loved the Mexican kit. And so if you don't have the taco pack, you could use your fajita spice. And again, depending on how spicy you like it, you might just start with a tablespoon or 2. And then when it's cooking, you decide, oh, it needs a little bit more spice. You could add that in. But the fajita would be great, or the taco seasoning in the jar.
You can even use the enchilada seasoning.
Yeah, that's right.
Throw pieces in there. And I know I did this recipe about, I want to say 2 weeks ago with the Azteca tortilla soup. So that's another way you could do the same recipe, just switch out your seasoning. So normally when I do a big workshop, I do labels and everybody prints their own label, but we're only doing 3. So all I did was I took a Sharpie and I wrote on my plastic bags before I actually do anything with them, because then I don't have to try and write on things. I just wrote on what they're going to be because then I won't forget. So first up, we are going to start with the taco soup. So in your freezer bag, so I'm going to make sure I got my taco soup freezer bag because that would be the worst thing is to have the wrong label. I am going to put in 1 package of taco soup, but I'm going to start with the crushed tomatoes because I always go with the messy thing first. So I'm actually using strained tomatoes because I have a picky eater, and if I put crushed tomatoes in and there happens to be 1 or 2 lumps, then she's not super happy. So I just use these. I think they're also called passata. Yes, they are. So just crushed tomatoes or strained tomatoes. I am sure if you had diced tomatoes, you could do this with diced tomatoes too. Now I know Stacie already has a bowl, and that wasn't even on my radar today, but normally I do that as well. I stick the Ziploc bag in the bowl, but I was thinking this was a little bit okay for me to just go as is.
That's because you've never spilled a bag with crushed tomatoes in it.
Yeah, don't say that.
I have, so I don't ever forget the bowl now.
So I'm doing the crushed tomatoes, then I'm going to put the seasoning in. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to have the seasoning. I don't want it to lump into my meat. So that's just kind of my trick for when I'm making soups is whatever the liquid is, I will put the seasoning in, seal it up so that I've got some of the air or most of the air out. And then I just squish it up a little bit. So it's kind of like mixing without a mix kind of spoon so that now my tomatoes are taco tomatoes. So just like that. Now, just make sure it's mixed. And now that Stacie has jinxed me that I don't spill that. Now I need, and I'm just looking for what else I have here on my recipe. I need my corn, which I pre-measured just for simplicity, but I'm putting a cup of corn in.
You measured?
Pardon me?
You measured?
I did.
I feel like we're having a role reversal here.
We are, like you're just pouring in and you're
dumping stuff in and not measuring.
So normally, and you know what, if you find when you've got this in your pot that you want to add extra, go for it, because corn is one of those things where you can throw it in before anything's finished in the last couple minutes and you're good to go. You could also throw in, if you want to up your protein amount, you could throw in your black beans with this as well, or even your lentils, and have it kind of a mixture of proteins. So I am now just going to throw in I'm actually using ground pork. We like to change up our proteins, and I like to have, not beef every night. It's better for your health. So I'm just putting the protein in. I grab my paper towel. And optional now is the Nourish broth or your veggie broth. I'm going to go ahead and put it in because then I just have to add water later. But if you didn't have Nourish broth or you didn't have, Nourish broth on hand, but you will when you make this, you can throw the seasoning itself in when you do the water. But I just like the fact that I don't have to tell my kids that they're doing this meal to do anything other than add water. So 2 tablespoons. And then I'm sealing it up. Now, when you put this in your crock pot, this is as much as I'm doing for this recipe, but when you put this in your crock pot, you're going to want to make sure that, your meat that has frozen has kind of squish it up before you put it in the bag, and make sure it's separated. You could put, like I said, cooked meat in this as well, but it's your choice. You could put chicken in that's already chopped, easy. You could put whole chicken breasts in and then just pull the whole chicken breast out and shred it and then pop it back in. There's like so many options with this, but you've got to start. And in fact, if you didn't know what protein you wanted in here, you could just do the crushed tomatoes, the seasonings, the corn, pop that in your freezer, and then you add whatever protein you have on hand. So that's that one. I'm going to squeeze the rest of the air out. And that literally, guys, that was dinner done in just a couple minutes, right? Like now it just goes on the stove. There's instructions in the recipes of how to cook this and what to add, because before you cook it, at cooking time, you need to add 4 cups of water, or if you did not add the Nourish broth, you add 4 cups of prepared broth. So I squeezed all the air out, and hopefully you can see on my other screen that it's now flat. The reason being is you want this to thaw as quickly as possible. Plus, it's easier to stack in your freezer. If you get a big mound of soup, it's not going to fit as easily. So squeeze out all the air, make it nice and flat, move that to the side. Now we're moving on to General Tao. So I have these big honkin', this is way more than pork tenderloin usually are, but my daughter did the grocery shopping for me while she was coming home from work, and which I totally don't mind. We'll have leftovers, guaranteed. So hopefully these all fit in one bag. I may have to go to second bag, but this one is even easier. So this one in the Ziploc bag, and I am going to grab, I'm going to move this off my recipe thing. I also want to give you guys a tip that I learned a long time ago. If I print recipes that I'm cooking with and I'm messy, like I am like Swedish Chef in the kitchen. And if you watch the Muppets, you know my age now. But I always put them in a page protector because then I can wipe it off and reuse that instead of going, oh, I got to print it again because now I can't read it. So General Tao. In the bag, I'm going to mix again the wet ingredients because that's just going to make sure that I get them all mixed together before I try to coat And look at me, I should have been like Stacie and had my bag ready or my bowl ready. 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now you can stop right there. I know Stacie has done that herself, and that's enough for marinating your meat. But I know we have a smoker, and I know what we're going to be doing with this pork tenderloin. It's one on the smoker. And even if it was going in the oven, I would probably still use soy sauce because I really like the flavor of it. So the soy sauce is on the recipe, but if you don't like soy sauce, you can omit it. It's totally fine. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And now, because this is going on the smoker, and if you've ever cooked using a smoker before, it is a good idea to have a little bit of an acid on there when you're trying to barbecue or smoke meats. It keeps it from a flare up from the oil because the oil will cook off really quickly, but it also helps tenderize it. So if it wasn't a tenderloin, it would definitely help it tenderize more. So then just the General Tao seasoning. Oh my goodness. I swear every time I get a cloud of General Tao when I open these, they're so flavorful. And the seasoning goes in, same deal as last time. Squeeze most of the air out. Here, I'm choking on my cloud of General Tao. Just mix that up so that it becomes kind of almost like a paste. And then, easy as pie, in goes the pork tenderloin. And this is a very forgiving spice. So if I find when I am about to cook these that they just need a little bit more moisture, then I will just add some more olive oil to the mix. So then squeeze out all the air. And you want to squish it again. And you just squish it until you know that the meat is well coated. This is going to thaw in your fridge. And when this thaws, it will also self-marinate in the fridge as it's thawing. So then you're getting an extra long marinating time so that, you know, your food has even more flavor. So you've got choices with this one as well. What's that? Sorry. Oh, I thought somebody had a question. So this could go in your crock pot. It could go on your barbecue. It could go in the oven. It could go just about anywhere you want it to go. How we doing, Stacie? Everything going good on your end?
Yeah, I love this. I almost think it's like a personality style because you are like so precise. And the thing I love about freezer meals is I dump because I like, you like pre-mix all your wet stuff. And I just say this because I think it's
just dumps everything. That's what
like,
we do.
You can't mess up freezer meals. I guess like Epicure just makes it so easy that I had dumped in my meat first, then I add the other stuff. And I've done it this way for years because now I know that all those flavors are just sitting on there. So I'm just going to mix it up now. But that was such a good tip, Sherry. I should have mixed it first, but
it's totally your call on that, how you want to do it. I guess that's the way I was taught when I was first doing freezer meals. So now that's the way I do it.
It's a good tip.
So Now I
This
just have
is
to
what Neil,
wrestle
I
my
was
pork
telling
tenderloin.
Sherry, I've been doing this a ton with just chicken breast and chicken thighs. And then the day of, I'm adding in whatever fresh veggie we have. So we had broccoli or bell peppers. And then I've been doing it a lot as a sheet pan dinner. So.
And that's why I have a broccoli, or sorry, a broccoli. I have a
Sorry, I
pepper
stole your
and an
thunder.
onion. I don't have a broccoli, but if you guys wanted and knew that it was going in a roasting pan, you could right now add the onion and the pepper as well right now. And then it's just another dump and go kind of meal as well. So pork tenderloin, or if you had done chicken or chicken thighs, however you wanted to do it, it could be anything. Even chicken wings, I think would be fabulous like this. And having this ready to go, I'm happy because I know this is going on the smoker and it'll be a delicious meal. I'm going to throw rice in my steamer and have that on the side and, you know, maybe steam some broccoli. Dinner will be done in no time and I don't have to really worry about how much my kids have to do before I get home from the rink. So now for the naked protein, I actually want to show you my trick that I do always. So grocery store comes home. I don't care what I'm making with my chicken. Comes home in the package like this. These are mammoth. Like, I don't know what Maple Leaf Prime, that's a Canadian company. Don't know what they're doing with their chickens. Maybe they've been visiting the US. Stacie and I often talk about how the American chickens seem so much bigger in the steamer than the Canadian chickens. But our chicken breasts have been huge. Like these are 4 breasts that make up 1.3 kilograms. I don't know how that happens, but so always when they get home from the grocery store, I just grab some paper towel here. I grab this knife. I love it. And I fillet it. So even if I don't know what I'm using it for, it's going into the freezer filleted. The reason why is it's already half chopped. It's already portioned. And I'm happy because I don't have these mammoth chicken breasts that are in a package that I've got to defrost. That's way too thick to defrost quickly, but also too big of a portion depending on what I'm cooking. So I just find kind of like a center point on the chicken breast and fillet it down. So whatever naked protein you're doing, now you can do your chopping and your slicing. And I'm just doing chicken breasts. So just taking them down. And one thing I love about having chicken breasts in the freezer is those sheet pan meals. So I know last night we had our Stir Crazy event and I didn't really know what I was having for supper. It was one of those Saturdays we don't tend to plan because the plans can change. So I knew I had chicken breasts I could thaw really quickly. And I knew I had all the ingredients for what Stacie had made, that creamy pesto chicken using crushed tomatoes. And dinner, I'm just going to move this stuff. Dinner was ready in no time because the chicken that I did took no time at all to defrost and prepare. So I just threw those fillets that were in the freezer bag into a sink of water and they were thawed in no time. So now naked protein is just prepping your protein. I could chop these into diced up if I wanted. I could chop these, leave these as fillets. I'm going to leave them as fillets because I know that this week we're having chicken Alfredo. So we'll probably do chicken breasts on the sheet pan with some tomatoes and some onions and some peppers and, you know, all kinds of good veggies just to get your veggie portion done. But I'm just throwing this in here. And maybe this is my personality. I don't know if Stacie does this with her protein, but I do try to lay it flat. You can squish them. Chicken's very forgiving to squish. And this is a lot of portions, but I have a big family and we have chicken for leftovers as well. So when I take this out, probably Thursday is our crazy night. Take this out. I will have chicken for lunch on Thursday and Friday. Or if I have it on Wednesday, we'll have it Thursday and Friday, but I will have chicken for lunch leftovers, whatever way I do it, because I still have, you know, chicken left that I can cook up in my steamer or however I want that's already defrosted at the same time. So I'm kind of taking care of multiple meals at the same time. Now, the other thing you could do, so here's another trick that I do, is sometimes I don't know what I'm making for dinner. I don't have the plan made yet. So I will season it with herb and garlic and olive oil, because even if I was making butter chicken, it would be good. Even if I was making rotisserie chicken, which if you haven't tried that on chicken breasts or chicken thighs, it's amazing. The herb and garlic goes with so many things. But I know that if I threw it on a sheet pan, I don't even have to season it. So it's just kind of like that next step of, I'm not really sure what to make. Having your protein done is one step. You just go grab your protein. And I know that it's already in the proper portions and it's an easy way for me to defrost versus the big package of chicken that was too much for my, too much in portion size for my family. So I'll have leftovers, I'll have the full chicken for the dinner, and we're good to go. So that's the 3 meals. Stacie, how are you doing?
Yeah, so for my last meal, I'm gonna do burgers actually because it was warmer. But I have ground meat. I love to do burgers this way, where I'll season them up ahead of time so that I can season them, press them, and then I like to freeze them on my sheet pan and liner. So I'll just have this with a whole bunch of burgers and I'll flash freeze them. And then once they're frozen, I can put them into my freezer bag. And then whether we need to cook 3 or 6 or whatever, it just makes it easier to pull out. So I'm going to do that. And I don't know, like, it's so funny here in Illinois, we get like above 30 and we're like, it's so warm. So
today, our snow is melting.
I know it's melting. Now we're going to have mud, but I have a pack of the baked beans still from the summer that the cowboy burgers were such a good recipe. So that's what I'm doing. But I was like, I better wait because otherwise I'm going to be all goopy before I sign off.
Awesome. So there's lots of things you could do with that. Like that's a great ground beef prep for burgers. You could prep your meatloaf. You could prep all kinds of things that just save you time. Maybe it's not your complete meal. Maybe it's like your general tao, but you can do a lot of prep. I just put my hand in the greasy chicken though. You can do a lot of prep that's just simple. Get it done in the freezer. That's the thing about meal prep that I always found super overwhelming was all these people, and maybe I'm just not cut out for that, but that do every single meal for all 7 days on Sundays. And then I just go, oh, I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. I like my Sundays to be a little bit quieter, watch a movie maybe, or go outside and enjoy the weather when it's nice, those kinds of things. So meal prep, I tend to do a couple of times a week. So I will do like, say, a couple protein preps, and then I will go and I will do some dips and some sauces so that I have those to go along with the protein preps that I've done. Now, I do see I've got 10 minutes left on this meeting, so I do want to open it up if anybody has any questions. And I'm just going to take it out of record mode. 1 second here. Got to go back to the Zoom. My computer decided to go wonky here, but yeah, that's we're going to go to record mode, but that's a really simple, quick freezer meal, kind of mini freezer meal that you can throw together, do every Sunday. In fact, I do this every Sunday where I prep my meals, that are going to save me the most time through the week. And that's the key. Don't overwhelm yourself with, your meal prep. So